lot to get through today. Welcome, everyone, to episode 4 of our Shenmue Dojo Law Investigation stream. Hopefully you can hear me okay. I always feel like I've got mic troubles, but it looks like I'm okay with the audio line there. So, first things first, we're going to greet everyone that's here. Thank you, everyone, for joining on what is known as National Zelda Day, I think, today. Thank you for not playing it, or maybe you're not a Zelda fan, I don't know. But yeah, it's nice to see you in here, because I was expecting a very low turnout with Zelda Tears of the Kingdom or whatever that's just been released today, and everyone seemed rather excited by it. But we're going to say hello to a few people first. Terry, first person in here, hello, welcome. Thanks for joining, matey. Ginger Fairy, thank you very much for the subscription, buddy. Much appreciated. Very kind of you. Matt Chen, Brenners, Sai Love Me, welcome in, guys. Anna Dill, thank you for joining. You said you would a little bit earlier on Twitter, so it's nice to see that you did. That's really cool. Thank you for coming in. What's going on now? We've got some other subscriptions coming in to interrupt. Oh, I missed that one. Wallflower Angel, thank you very much, my friend. Much appreciated for the subscriptions there. Really helps me and Matt cover some of the costs. That does actually for the any subscriptions on Twitch. Helps cover the site costs. Well, I say helps cover, probably after a couple of months covers about 10% of what we actually pay, but every little helps, of course. Professor Brown's going to talk about more Shenmue lore, of course. That's what we do in the dojo here today. Samian, welcome in, buddy. Richard, nice to see you, mate. And again, thanks, Ginger Fairy. Strictly Sega Europe. More lore than before, for sure. Don't know if you knew that rhymed. More lore than before, for sure. Not a Zelda fan, Terry. Fair enough. Me neither. AASE14 made it. Thank you for coming in. Daft That Punk, you as well. Shenmue had more of an effect on me than Zelda. That's very true. I suppose that's the same for everyone in the chat, right? So whenever there's a little bit of Shenmue to enjoy, probably put it a little bit above Zelda, definitely. Don't know about that. Shenmue was Sega's answer to Zelda. Oh, to you. Fair enough. Okay, if that's what you think, that's all good. All good, guys. Right, I think I've caught up the chat there. So yeah, welcome in. We've got loads to get through today, actually. I may have gone a little bit over the top. I was probably spent about 5 hours researching some stuff just to sort of make the stream go tickety-boo to the best that I can. So we're going to have a quick recap of last week. Obviously, we learned a little bit about the dragon, the phoenix, Long, the surname of Landi, if you're giving off his Chinese surname, actually means dragon. It's the same word for dragon. D on his, I guess, his Japanese name, Landi. You know what I mean by that, like his translated Japanese name from Chinese, or his, what was it? Maybe it was Kanglong or Changlong was his older name, maybe then, and then they changed it to Landi. That's probably more factual than what I've just said. But D means emperor, or that's the word for emperor. The dragon's the symbol of imperial power. It can control the elements. We learned a lot about how it was it is the god of thunder. It brings thunder and lightning. We've seen, especially from the Shenmue Online trailer, that dragons fly in the sky, make clouds with its breath. You know, the sort of the dark clouds obscuring the heavens sort of vibe that we're getting from the prophecy. This was a little interesting thing. So I went through last episode. We'd listened to that big chunk of audio that was like text or whatever. I picked up on this, actually, in hindsight. If there's a drought in any area, by praying to a dragon, residents hope to get rain. So there was a little bit in that sort of chapter where they were doing like a rain dance, or they were doing some sort of a prayer to who they assumed, rain came from dragons, or dragons can contribute to a bit of a downpour, I guess, if the crops are thingy. And there's actually an ema, I've got it here, in Shenmue 3. Might not be related, but I thought it was quite curious. May 1760, the drought continues and crops desperate for rain. So I don't know if that's a little bit of lore. I don't know what's going on with the date there. Maybe that date we could look into in the future, but it may just be something they just plucked out of thin air. But I just thought that was quite an interesting. It might not mean anything, but you never know. It could all be tied into like this praying to a dragon sort of a vibe. I'll close that. So yeah, the drought's attributed to the laziness of a dragon, apparently. So people throw tiger's bones into a pool where a dragon was thought to live. That was something they did back in the day, which is interesting as well, like the tiger and the dragon. I guess it's more of the yin and yang aspects. We researched that. I think that was in like first episode or the second episode where it was like tiger this side, dragon that side. Apparently the dragon got angry and fought with the tiger, and this would then cause the heavy rain. And dragon and tiger are the most fierce and powerful creatures. Whenever they see each other or even sense a part of the other, they will fight, which I thought was quite interesting. Because obviously Rio is like the embodiment of a tiger and Landy's the embodiment of a dragon. And obviously whenever they see each other, yeah, I'm pretty sure Rio wants to fight, Landy wants to fight. I've got a fly in the room again. Didn't happen the other day. Literally haven't had any flies until we start streaming. In some traditions, there are 9 dragons, the same number of animals that the dragon borrows its features from. So we were watching a video where it was like describing all the different features of a dragon. A part of its head is this, its mouth is this, its nose is this, its wings are this, all these different types of animals. And apparently these 9 parts of the dragon, which I thought was quite interesting because that's like the Shenmue 1, 9 dragons, Mother's Earth, and all that sort of stuff. And it also gives birth to 9 varieties of offspring. And the number 9, apparently in early Chinese history, was just a word that generally referred to many or a lot. Chinese dragons are linked to the imperial history from Han to the Qing dynasty. The dragon became associated with emperors to show that they had been divinely chosen. They were the sons of heaven. So there you've got the sort of emperor tie-in there with Shenmue as well. The first Han Emperor is Yellow Emperor, and his name is Huang Di. And that's someone that we're going to look into a little bit later to maybe sort of see if there is any sort of links that we can pick out to Shenmue. And then there's that one that caught me off guard in 1987, which is obviously the year that Shenmue's set, sort of, obviously at the end of 86, but in 87 is like, it's quite an interesting date to have chosen for that. But there was figures of a dragon and a tiger that were unearthed in a tomb. Again, could just be a coincidence. I don't know why I wrote that, actually, the dragon and the tiger. I think that was because of this bit here. I think I was trying to find that in the text and I found it. And then obviously the phoenix is known as the Feng Huang in Chinese. This is actually a town called Feng Huang, which is translates as Phoenix Town. And we did look at that little village or that little area. It looks like that inspired Niaowu, or Niaowu was based on that. And you'll find Meow people here. And Phoenix is the Empress. The Meow people thing is a little bit interesting because I think I said on stream that Shenhua wears her Meow village, a Meow outfit. I was thinking perhaps this is like Meow, because if you actually look at all these screens open, Meow people, I was thinking that's kind of like how it looks, right? That sort of a costume. But then if you actually look at the costume up close, there's like all these tassels and dangly things that you don't see on Shenhua's. Shenhua's have got like more like these pearls, if you know what I mean. So I went through some images just to see if I could see anything that resembled more like Shenhua's outfit, and I actually couldn't. So I don't know if this is a Meow sort of an outfit. I just went through some screenshots as well. That was interesting. I don't know, does that look like anything to anyone? I thought it looks like maybe like a pair of lungs, but like one of them's tiny, the other one's massive. It does look like, you know what I mean, like a pair of lungs. Don't know. That's just something I saw there. Is that all the images? And there's that phoenix. Because this, we did actually watch this trailer yesterday, so like there you go, Shenhua is the embodiment of phoenix. But you can see what I mean, they're not tassels, are they? They're like pearls. So then that led me to have a little look at what an empress, Chinese empress, looks like. And not necessarily the same sort of thing, but you're seeing a lot more like pearls and stuff on the headdresses, I thought. I don't even know if that's an empress. Just going through some of these images. So, I don't know. A lot of pearls, do you know what I mean? I think that was the one. Is that the... That's an empress. I think this is this lady here. So just all of the empress outfits seem to have pearls in the headdress. So I don't know. Could be Shenhua in like an empress outfit, if that makes sense, is what I'm trying to say, rather than what I may have mentioned that last week, that I was thinking that Shenhua wears that sort of meow look. D means emperor, yeah. Lan literally means blue. Yeah, that was something I found out actually, which we'll get into in a moment. Because what I want to do today is heavenly beasts, the 4 heavenly beasts. I think that kind of ties in nicely from the previous episode, how we were looking into Dragon and Phoenix. We're going to look into the 4 heavenly beasts that there's described in Shenmue, and then a little bit later we're going to look into Chiyou and stuff. But yeah, Lan does mean blue. I think it's like that azure blue, possibly. Welcome in. Armor up, high caliber reloaded plus DJ loyalty mega. Nice use. Not too long at all. Yeah, appreciate the subs, guys. Oh, so that was Terry with the gift sub. Appreciate that, Terry. Thank you, matey. Yu Suzuki Research. I know all this sort of stuff, how it ties in. It's just insane. They definitely did the homework. Right, so I think that's caught up there. So let's move over there because that's my helper. So that was it. So last week we watched the video on the dragon, and it was mentioning how the 4 heavenly beasts are... I think it even says it here, actually. Yes, so dragon in the east. The Quilin, or Kirin, is what was like a curious one. It was like, that doesn't happen in Shenmue. Like, who's this? Like, just show a picture? Yeah, it's more like a... I don't know, it's like a flamey horse or something with a dragon's head. Hooved chimerian creature that appears in Chinese mythology, said to appear with the imminent arrival or passing of a sage or illustrious ruler. Killing a specific type. So that's why, okay, so these are the 4 heavenly, or the 4 holy beasts are these. So you've got the dragon, the Kilin, the turtle, and the phoenix. And then it says, the 4 holy beasts differs from the 4 symbols, and that Quilin replaces the white tiger. And obviously we know in Shenmue this is what they must be talking about, rather than the 4 holy beasts. They must be talking about the 4 symbols. So I'm just going to read through some of this just to get us started into this. Oh, right. Didn't know that, Samian. That's cool. So Zelda, another little Zelda on Zelda National Zelda Day for Divine Beasts. I think they have appeared in quite a few. It may even say down here like where they appear in video games or something. I was reading a little bit last night. This is cool though. This reminds me of the mirrors, and I don't know. I know I've said it before that there could even be 2 additional mirrors. One of a white tiger, one of a snake tortoise. For all we know, it could be 4 mirrors in total. I don't know. Right, so the four symbols are 4 mythological creatures appearing amongst the Chinese constellations along the ecliptic. Oh, mate, I'm never going to get these words, so I won't even bother. And viewed as the guardians of the 4 cardinal directions. These four creatures are also referred to by a variety of other names, including the Four Guardians, the Four Gods, and the Four Auspicious Beasts. So, yeah, you can see where they got the translation from, perhaps. Or maybe they just came up with their own name for them in Shenmue. And they are the Azure Dragon of the East. And Azure is like a sort of a blue colour, right? So, blue dragon. Vermilion Bird of the South, the White Tiger of the West, and the Black Tortoise of the North. And that's where you get those four leaders. You know how we've talked about in the past how Shenmue's supposed to have these four leaders, and they're like the North, the South, the East, and the West. These are, I guess, who they represent, which is interesting for the future. Each of the creatures is most closely associated with a cardinal direction and a colour, but also additionally represents other aspects, including the season of the year, an emotion, virtue, and one of the Chinese 5 elements. Each has been given its own individual traits, origin story, and a reason for being, symbolically, and as a part of spiritual and religious belief and meaning. These creatures have been culturally important across countries in East Asian cultural sphere. I may not get into this a little bit because we are going to watch a couple of videos, so I guess they're going to sort of describe this. But just briefly, we're going to have a quick look at what these actually represent. So, there's your black tortoise. It's one of the 4 symbols of the Chinese constellations. Despite its English name, it's usually depicted as a tortoise entwined with a snake. Because, okay, I don't know, am I going to get to this in a little bit? Yeah, we'll get to this in a little bit. But there's a couple of things there that could link to who the leaders are, perhaps, in Shenmue. You've got the Vermilion Bird, the White Tiger, and the Azure Dragon. So very cool. And actually, this is my mistake as well. I've made this mistake in the past. It says it's often mistaken for the Feng Huang due to the similarities in appearance, but the two are actually different creatures. So I think I did actually say last week that Shenhua is, or you know, like especially in the Shenmue Online trailer, she's the phoenix, and the animal that comes out of her is this big massive phoenix. And then I was saying that Feng Yuang is inspired Niaowu, and obviously Niao Sun is in Niaowu, and Niao Sun has on her red dress what I think I did say this last week was I assumed it was a phoenix, right? This sort of thing at the bottom of a dress here, but actually it's the Vermilion Bird. So that makes more sense now, actually. This is this thing called the Vermilion Bird and not the Phoenix. So it does make a bit of sense how Shenhua can be a Phoenix and she can be like not a Phoenix at the same sort of time, if you know what I mean. White Tiger and Azure Dragon. Yeah, sorry, I just got distracted by that. Yeah, Blair. We did kind of go through this a little bit on, I think it was probably the first stream, but we're going to go into a little bit more detail today. And I've also prepared a bit of gameplay for us, just to tie it to Shenmue nicely.
Beasts of Chinese
Sorry, let me just make sure we've got decent audio on this. Let me know if you can hear this video, okay? We're going to watch this first, just to get a little bit more information on these 4 divine beasts.
The 4 divine beasts of Chinese mythology.
I think we should be good.
Chinese mythology features 4 divine beasts that hold significant cultural and symbolic importance. These beasts are known as the Azure Dragon, White Tiger, Black Tortoise, and Vermilion Bird. Each of the 4 divine beasts is associated with a specific direction, season, and element, and has unique symbolic significance in Chinese culture. 1. Azure Dragon.
So this blue dragon.
Often associated with the Emperor and the concept of dragon culture in China. The Azure Dragon is believed to bring good luck and prosperity. It is associated with the element of wood, which represents growth, renewal, and vitality. The Azure Dragon is often depicted in Chinese art and architecture, including on palace walls and roofs. The dragon's pearl under its chin is a symbol of power and good fortune. 2. White Tiger.
Baihu. Remember when we all thought that Baihu was like a proper leader? And I think it was Matthew Kilpatrick on Itland DC that found in the files that he actually had his own Street Fighter photo. So originally Baihu was just meant to just be a Street Fighter, and I think his tag for his name or something that the game calls that information from is like Street Fighter something, you know what I mean? So
The White Tiger is associated with the West and is believed to guard against evil spirits and negative energy. It is often depicted as a fierce, powerful animal symbolizing strength and courage. The White Tiger is associated with the element of metal, which represents strength, determination, and persistence. In ancient China, the White Tiger was also believed to be associated with wars and battles. The White Tiger is often depicted in Chinese art and architecture, including on the roofs of temples. And
just quickly, Master Baihu, Shenmue, because he paints his face white, doesn't he? What's he got in his headdress there? That could even be a tiger, possibly. Oh, I'm not sure actually. Looks more like something with wings, doesn't it? I was just seeing if it had that sort of, if he had that sort of tattoo face sort of vibe, but
palaces. 3. Black Tortoise. The black tortoise is associated with the North and is believed to be a symbol of protection, longevity, and endurance. It is often depicted as a tortoise with a serpent coiled around it, representing a union of the earth and the water elements. The black tortoise is associated with the element of water, which represents the flow of life and the ability to adapt to changing circumstances. The black tortoise is also believed to be a protector of the dead and a guide to the afterlife.
It's interesting, isn't it?
In Chinese culture, the black tortoise is often depicted on tombs and graveyards as a symbol of protection. 4. Vermilion Bird.
So this is the Niao Sun sort of creature.
The vermilion bird is associated with the South and is believed to bring good luck, success, and prosperity. It is often depicted as a beautiful phoenix with red feathers and a long, flowing tail. The vermilion bird is associated with the element of fire, which represents passion, transformation, and energy. In ancient China, the vermilion bird was also believed to be associated with the emperor and the royal family. The vermilion bird is often depicted in Chinese art and architecture, including on palace walls and the robes of emperors. The 4 divine beasts in Chinese mythology are a significant part of Chinese culture and history. Each of these beasts is associated with a specific direction, season, and element, and holds unique symbolic significance. These divine beasts continue to be celebrated in Chinese art, literature, and architecture, and serve as a reminder of the rich cultural heritage of China. Thanks for watching. Please leave a comment what you'd like to see in next video.
I was getting a bit of Eric Calso vibes from his voice, by the way. That's an interesting point, Samian. Does this mean that Sword of Vermilion is related to Shenmue? Because obviously that was like Yu Suzuki's not first game, but his one of his early games, isn't it? Like an RPG, Sword of Vermilion. Possibly some sort of a connection. Don't know. Would it make sense that Chiyoumen would get the Dragon and Phoenix and Rio happens upon the Tiger and Tortoise to combat them? Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of these concepts that we could potentially see. Like I say, if there's 4 mirrors, if there's 4 mirrors in the game, but then they did, like Yuan Dazu does mention about the dragon and the phoenix forming a pair. Do you reckon he probably would have said like these are a set of 4? I don't know. Interesting, but that is related to like your north, south, east, and west, like your leaders. So what I thought, obviously this is a Shenmue stream. We're going to play a little bit of Shenmue 2 now. I've got a save right at Yuan Dezu's house, room, or whatever in Kowloon. And we're going to have a closer look at how these sort of beasts are connected in this specific part of the game. I'm trying to get through this quite quick, actually, because we have got a lot to get through. So yeah, hopefully enjoy this. We've got some good stuff later. Let me know if the game's too loud, because I don't think I've adjusted the volume of that on OBS. But it looks okay. It looks like my camera audio's above the game. So here we are, guys. I'd literally climbed all the way. Sounds fine here, good stuff. I literally climbed all of the Ghost Hall building last night in preparation for this. Obviously, we're at the 5 Stars Corpse, which I think that may have been episode 1 where we were looking at Switch's blog post, and he said about the 5 stars being. I think he got them mixed up. I think he was saying it was like the dragon, basically like Dragon Corp, but actually the 5 stars is the Phoenix, isn't it? Cassiopeia, the Cassiopeia star formation thing. And I noticed this thing over here. I don't know if that is like some sort of old Chinese script or it's just a pattern. But that could be Chinese writing, I don't know. It might just say Yuan Dezu.
Here. Finally, we're here to meet him. Ren, where did you come from? I ran down a tip from a snitch around here and got the key for the elevator.
Always love Leo's face there. Hit it with the Google Lens app. Could be a bit too late for that.
There's no one here. Where did Zoo disappear to? Calm down.
Ooh.
Shut up! I am calm. Huh? That's the stick the old man gave you. Oh, snake, tortoise, are the 4 heavenly beasts. Smells fishy.
Yeah. There must be something here.
I'll be on the lookout. Hurry and search.
Yeah, we're going to have a brief little look around this room, actually, just in case there is some sort of... Let me just turn the music down, just a touch. So, I'd noticed...
Is this all merchandise?
I was trying to work out what that was. It could be Liu Wang, right? Oops. Ah, come on. Where's me browser there? Does anyone know what that looks like? Because in my head I had this picture of that sort of a thing there. Possibly. Because over this side is the wall. I guess it's just the Great Wall of China, but it kind of does look a bit. What have I done? I pressed the right trigger. It does kind of look like the Journey to the Cliff Temple at the end of Shenmue 3. Which, I mean, could be quite interesting. Yeah, just a pagoda, possibly. All I was thinking was, is it crazy to think that maybe, like, there's 2 locations on these scrolls that we're going to actually get to in, like, Shenmue 4? So you got your Great Wall there, And then over the side of the room here, potentially a different location like Huang or something. I don't know. So, let's have a little look. So obviously you've got the war scroll here, which reads yin and yang. I'm just going to get the plans first, actually.
This picture. The 4 heavenly beasts Ren mentioned. This is... Looks similar to the stick Zhang gave me. There must be some meaning to the combination of these pictures. Somewhere in this room are the others? Some connection with the 4 heavenly beasts?
The 4 divine beasts are called there.
How's it going? Did you find something? Hey, what is it? These are the 4 heavenly beasts. Same picture that's on those sticks that old man gave you. Look. Hey, that statue looks fishy.
Statue of Buddha.
Well, check carefully.
I didn't get that cutscene last night, you know. I don't know if it's like depends on what you look at first, or perhaps how long you take to get something. So there's your 4 divine beasts in this sense. You've got your yin yang symbol right in the middle there, and the Buddha, and then you've got. Actually, use my mouse actually. So these are like obviously the directions. That's Kita in Japanese. That's north, south, Minami. Higashi east and Nishi west. So how it links to what these are actually north, south, east and west, or west and east rather in that order. So let's get the scroll first.
Yin and yang. Same as the banner in our dojo.
I love all these connections as well, like how that's the same as in the Hazuki Dojo. Like, what does that mean?
This is a picture of a dragon. Same shape as the other sticks. Are these keys? I'll keep it.
Just trying to think like why it links to Yuandazu kind of. He's got that. He's also got, which we'll get next. He's obviously also got. Gonna work from there.
Somewhere there must be a clue leading to Zoo.
He's also got Hazuki Gi, training gi.
This uniform is. The Hazuki name's on it. Perhaps this was my father's. What? Same shape as the stick Zhang gave me.
Does mention Iwao
This
to
is a
Rio?
picture of a tiger.
Like I was friends with Iwao.
I'll keep it.
Can't quite think off the top of my head. And then you've got some dummy keys.
There's something...
I'm not sure if the animals on these ones actually mean anything.
This is similar to the snake tortoise stick. I'll keep it.
Goat. Yeah, the white. Let's have a look. Where are they? Here they are. What did you say? Dragon. Yeah, it looks sick, doesn't it? He's actually holding that pearl there. You know how we said that dragons grow pearls, was it, or something? That banner was also what you needed to get to move to get the Phoenix Mirror from the basement, and this had the dragon key. Do you mean the mysterious scroll, Samian? You know, you move that and you get the mysterious scroll behind it.
A turtle shell.
You don't have to collect these, by the way. Just thought
picture
it'd be
of a
interesting if we
fish.
did.
I'll keep it.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I assume that mysterious scroll is the move that Landy kills a wow with.
Similar to the snake tortoise stick. I'll keep it.
Don't know what these say either. That's south. But then I can't particularly read. They're quite dark. That top one's life. Kanji for life. I did send photos of them to Switch, and there's a couple there that I can't really make out. Though they...
Somewhere there must be a clue leading to zoo.
Cherry blossoms. Nice flowers. Books. If you look at these books, it says something about related to him writing the Wuling Shoe. I'm gonna get the one out of this first.
There's something...
Yeah, you're right, Richard. No messing. You can actually see all like the dragon sort of designs on the pottery as well.
I should keep this.
Just behind him there. It's a big pot with...
Aren't there any clues?
That's the Buddha. What's on that one? Dunno, a bit like an elephant or something. Some of these plates look like that kind of looks like one that was in Shenmue 3, almost. Did a lot of these type of plates. And that one looks a little bit familiar. Has that got stars on, actually? Star patterns. It has. Look, it's got constellations on.
Nothing strange.
Nothing strange here, but it does actually a little bit strange because those look like star patterns, don't they? Constellations. That actually looks a similar sort of... maybe not. Ooh, camera's backed up a bit then. The chair's interesting as well. That's Yuan Dezu's chair, but looks like there's a design on that. In fact, well, it could just be my eyes, but it kind of looks like an emperor sitting in a chair. Like at the top here. Oh, hang on, it doesn't like me using the mouse at the same time. But it looks like some guy sitting in a big chair. I don't know why I'm pointing. Sort of that top bit there. It's like a man there. I don't know if anyone else can see that. In a big chair. Let's get in this drawer. I'll look at this actually, because he does mention about the Wuling Shoe.
Did Zhu write this? Must be a reference he used for the Wuling Shoe.
So he's got all these little books and stuff knocking about. I don't know, research or something. Why won't it let me look on that? There we go. And there's the Phoenix key. Or the Vermilion bird, I suppose.
A picture of a rooster.
Oh no, it's not. We got the Phoenix, that's the rooster.
I should keep this.
I think that's all of them, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
A statue of Buddha. There are holes in the face. Looks like a keyhole.
So I don't know. This could be a did you know, but if you've got the actual map document thing, you can just bring it up here if you press Y. Or triangle, I suppose, whatever you're using. So you've got your snake tortoise in the top.
Saying give me this one. Good. This was the right one.
Yeah, nothing strange, but I'll keep it anyway. You
Three
actually
more to go.
lose those extra keys, don't you, in Shenmue 3, so I suppose they aren't.
This is the one hidden beneath the uniform.
And again, you've got your tie-in there with a WoW's training gi, White Tiger.
Good, it fits.
So where actually was,
was
the
the right one.
snake? Oh, the snake tortoise was the one Zhang gave us, which is interesting, I suppose, because there
Two
could be a
more.
case for Yuandazu being the black tortoise dude.
This is the one I found behind the frame of the yin and yang.
Dragon's West, isn't it? Or East, rather.
Good. Heard the key click. One more. This is... It was inside the jar.
I think it is called Phoenix, actually, here. Phoenix in the bottom.
Good. This was the right one.
Hey. What the hell?
There he is.
You.
I always thought it was a corpse. The first time he walks in and his hands are like white. Just gave off like dead vibes.
Who are you?
I am Ryo Hazuki.
Hazuki.
Does mention his father here, doesn't he, right?
Are you Iwao's? He's here! Yuandazu's here!
And that's all we get, really.
Good.
I'm going to stop it there. Apologies if you're getting into that, but we're not going to play any more of Shenmue 2 there. Just wait for the thing to pop up because it always comes up with music, right? Well, not today, apparently. Ah. There we go. Oops. Right, cool. So now we're going to watch video 2 in my list here, which is the last little bit we're going to do on the Heavenly Beasts. I thought this was interesting, actually, because of... I'm sure there's something linked here, actually, thinking about it. 4 symbols. Yes, this was it. So this was interesting, I thought, this image, because you've got the 4 Heavenly Beasts there, but these two are swapped, which I thought was interesting. Now you've got the Phoenix at the top and the Black Tortoise at the bottom. Here, obviously, we've just put the keys in, as in Black Tortoise with the north and stuff. And I don't know what this thing is in the middle, but it kind of reminded me of that treasure that you see in the middle of the scroll. The LDA was looking at that, you know what I mean? Sorry, Rennis. I was enjoying it too, but we've got to plod along with this. And this next video actually gives a reason to what's going on here, which I thought was really interesting, actually, how this lady describes it.
Hello, 你好. In my previous video, I talked about Chinese constellations. The 3 enclosures are centered on the north celestial pole and include those stars which could be seen year-round. The 28 mansions form an ecliptic...
Check this out, by the way. How she's like put them in brackets. Black turtle. White tiger, green dragon. green or blue. I think it's the same. And the red bird over here. So that's the night sky. What's the Silver River? Never noticed that before.
Coordinate system used for those stars visible from China, but not during the whole year, based on the movement of the moon over a lunar month. The 28 mansions are grouped into 4 symbols, also known as the 4 magical animals. These animals are the dragon, bird, tiger, and turtle. Today I am going to explain how the ancient Chinese associated the 4 symbols, or the 4 magical animals, with 4 colors and 4 directions. In Western culture, north is specifically the direction that is treated as the fundamental direction. Here is a world map. By convention, the top side of the map is north. A constellation map follows the same rule. This is a Chinese 4 symbols and 28 mansions constellations map. The top of this map is not north. Instead, it is south. The bottom side of the map is north. The ancient Chinese always looked at the sky and stars by facing south. Therefore, on a map, the top side is often south. Think about how the sun moves through the day and through the year in the northern hemisphere. Facing south, people get more sunlight. Sitting in the north and facing the south is traditionally a perfect direction, as this direction is the easiest way to get the essence of nature.
Russia China shop?
Let's look at this picture closely. By facing south, a person's front is south, back is north, left is east, and right is west. Let me show you how to pronounce these characters.
Skip the pronunciation stuff.
Qian. Ancient Chinese divided the nightly sky into 4 sections. This map shows the constellation positions during the spring equinox when facing south. Bird is in the front, dragon on the left, tiger on the right, and the tortoise is behind you.
It's like backwards.
Now let me explain how the ancient Chinese associated the 4 animals with 4 colors. This is a map of China when facing south, or you could say when facing the equator. The ancient Chinese discovered that the color of the soil was very different from the south, north, east, and west part of China.
This is very interesting, I thought.
In the south of China, the soil color is vermilion. In the north of China, the soil color is black. In the east of China, the soil color is azure. In the west of China, the soil color is white. The ancient Chinese was inspired by the nature and therefore named each magical animal after the color of the soil. Vermilion bird. 朱雀.
Let's get past the pronunciation stuff again.
Now let's include the direction for each animal. Left, azure, dragon. 左青龙
Very good. It's kind of like a learning about
方玄武
pronunciation as well. So yeah, I just thought that was quite interesting based off that map that we had. That's kind of how that's viewed in China, and the soil stuff's quite interesting. That these are named after the coloration of the soil in the different regions of China, and then they based that color on a particular animal. So it all sort of links interestingly. I don't think there was much more, so we'll skip out of that now. So that's kind of what we're going to do on the 4 heavenly beasts today. I couldn't really think of anything that sort of matches any of these with themes in Shenmue, apart from like fire, Niao Sun, how she's red. Obviously the tiger. These things you can link, but I'm not sure about like these other things. These you can sort of link because these will be the leaders, the leader of the north, west, south, and east. But there's a lot of things here that are kind of where they've got some of the themes of Shenmue. So this person actually on this forum topic talks about it. Is it this forum topic? Updated Chiyoumen leaders photo. I thought it was that one. Maybe it's this one. Nope. That's my bookmarks changed. But there was a post that was interesting. Let me just scroll down a little bit in this topic. Here you go, this was it. This is from user Rydeen. So the names Gotai, Kotai. This is like kind of like deep Shenmue stuff, but there is these 4 leaders that we know about, these 4 Chiyoumen bosses. We know that Landi is Rantai, Niao Sun's Entai, but we don't know who Ko and Gentai are. And he actually, I think he says one of these. I think it is the where's the snake tortoise gone? Let me just get that back up. Or the black tortoise. This actually has a name of, if I can find it, Genpu or something, right? Yeah, Genbu. So that could be Gentai. So then this would be the black tortoise Chiyoumen boss. And then Kotai. So if we've got dragon, phoenix, snake tortoise, the other one is white tiger. Kotai. I'm not sure if that links, but that would be basically. I think it does. Does he mention it actually? Okay, so according to the section of one of David DeVille's posts, the ko in Kotai here represents the sky, though the kunyomi is actually Sora. It's also the character for sun on top of the character for heaven. I don't know if all that's important, but it does sort of suggest that Kotai would be close with Tentai. Although I was under the impression that the northern boss was the one Tentai relied on the most. Anyway, the Yellow Emperor was said to have a son, Xiao Hao. Hao being the same character as Cole, who was made the Tentai of the Western region and called the White Emperor. Confused yet? Me too. Yeah, this is all really confusing. So the Gen in Gentai is the same as in Genbu. So there's your northern leader. Gen tends to represent darkness, in this case the darkness of the north. Apparently a grandson of the Yellow Emperor, Xuanzu, was also referred to as Gentai. Very interesting. Let's see if that actually links to what he's just mentioned there. Gentai. Doesn't come up in a search. But yeah, I believe him. On a side note, if you wanted to keep everything D consistent, you have, I believe, Landi, Yandi, Howdy, Xuandi, and Tiandi. So this is where we were getting all these Ds from, like, was it the Emperor and stuff? So a little confusing. I mean, I'm not really following a lot of this stuff either. If you guys aren't either, it's a bit confusing because I don't really know where Shenmue's taken us with these themes. But we are going to be looking into the Yellow Emperor in a bit. So maybe we might get some links from that. But the last thing I want to do on this is just to segue into, because we're going to get into it a little bit on Chiyou in a min. Obviously, all of these leaders are Chiyoumen. The north, the south, the east, the west, all these, Niao Sun's part of the Chiyoumen or whatever. I've got this page from the wiki page, and there's some stuff in here that I actually didn't realise myself. I don't know if this has been added recently or what, but this is all this stuff. So he's Blue Emperor, we know that, Rante. Lan Di. Di is the Emperor. Lan, I think you said that Terry means blue. Obviously, Azure blue is that dragon. So he's got the tattoo of the Chiyoumen on his wrist or whatever. Dragon print. So Lan Di is a known figure among the 4 leading ranked members of the Chiyoumen, alongside Niao Sun, who this is the sort of stuff I'm not sure how this is in the wiki page. Yan Di, because Yan Di is another one that we're going to actually look into in a moment. What, did we get a Zelda advert? Did we? Okay. So this is the stuff I've never seen before, so I don't know where they've got this connection from. The only thing I could think of is perhaps the Shenmue Master interviews. You know what I'm talking about, Matt, where he got the information on the different leaders. But very interesting that this is actually on the Shenmue wiki for the Chiyoumen. So Lan Di's picture alongside Niao Sun, Yan Di, Hao Di as the white tiger, and Xuan Di, the black tortoise. Based in China, they tend to shy away from appearing in public as not to draw attention to themselves. Although their true intentions are unknown, the Chiyoumen are searching for the Phoenix Mirror, which Ryo has in his possession. This mirror is said to, when combined with the Dragon Mirror, create a map which should lead to secrets unknown. Yeah, interesting. He's got the mysterious stone mirrors, the dragon. There's a little bit in this somewhere that I found was interesting as well. This bit, Matt, just listen to this a second. Specifically you, Matt. So Lan Di dodged Iwao's attacks easily and mortally wounded him with a deadly blow of the tiger swallow style, a move described in a mysterious scroll Ryo later finds in the dojo. So, like, again, are they just doing guesswork like we did? Or has that been confirmed? That, the mysterious scroll we did, we don't know for sure, do we? But this is presenting it as fact. I mean, I can see where they got it from. I did assume, like, when we were reading that, I think Guizhang translated, doesn't he? And it sounds like that move, twin palm. Well, I think it's probably meant it's like when twin palms strike the mountain or something about that. But yeah, I thought it was interesting. And this is the bit that I mentioned previously. So the Shenmue team initially called and often referred to Lan Di as Kang Long. There is actually some very old concept art where I think it even says Kang Long on the image. And Kang, according to this, literally is pale dragon. And Long is obviously the word for dragon. So I'm pretty sure I was reading, and we're just going to open this back up a second. Sorry, guys, I should have had this still up. But the 4 symbols, when you actually click on the Azure Dragon, it actually says Kang Long there, which is interesting. So it is basically, and I suppose it is obvious. We know he's meant to be this leader, this dragon, but that almost confirms it. Do you know what I mean? That he was literally named after that, and then they changed his name to Lan Di. So that's going to end it on the 4 Heavenly Beasts for now. I don't know if that's going to crop up again in a future thing, but that's all the information I could find or I thought was interesting enough to use on here. So we're going to get into the second half of the show now. So yeah, I've put segue to Chiyou. So that's my segue. We just looked at Lan Di, who is a member of the Chiyou. And then we're going to do 2 things now. We're going to watch the Master Chen cutscene again in Shenmue 1, where he mentions... I've got a habit of closing stuff down. I don't know why I do it. I think it's up here, right? Master Chen explaining about the mirrors. He does speak about Chiyou. And then I'm going to sneakily watch, hopefully we're okay doing this now, over a year on, but I'm going to watch a chunk of the anime as well, the same sort of cutscene, but in the anime form as well, just to add a bit more Shenmue context to this.
Ah, the Phoenix Mirror.
Yeah.
Yes, It's made of phantom river stone.
Why did Landy only steal the dragon mirror?
He probably didn't realize your father had both of them.
2 mirrors.
A long time ago, Zhu Yuanda once told me.
So it's Yuanda Zhu that
When the
tells Master
dragon
Chen.
and the phoenix meet, the gates of heaven and earth will open, and Chiyou will resurrect itself on earth.
Chiyou.
So why is Yuanda Zhu told Master Chen that when he tells Rio that it's the key to treasure?
It's a legendary Chinese monster that will devour this world of ours. It appears Landi will try to make use of both mirrors.
What will he try?
What will he try?
That even I don't know, but you mustn't allow him to get that mirror.
Don't
Be
think he says much
careful
more, does he?
and stay alert.
Yeah, this is where Chai comes. So let's hop into the anime version.
Are you familiar with the Chiyoumen cartel?
Just going to pause it there on that image. So obviously that plate's different in the game. That is a really good image of Chiyou that we're going to look at in a moment. And obviously the whole organisation that, you know, Landy's involved in, the Aosun's involved in, all these sort of things that are after the mirrors and whatever's going to go on there are named after this beast, which is interesting.
It's one of China's most powerful and ever-expanding underground networks. Some say they will incorporate the entirety of China one day. Supposedly, Lan Di is one of the cartel's leaders.
More figuratively.
Lan Di. Father, do you think he's also after the Phoenix Mirror?
Chinese legend that is...
So
the Phoenix Mirror. Thanks.
Yeah, I was going to say that, Matt. Gui Zhang knew about the Phoenix Mirror before Master Chen even mentioned it, so it's like it's well known.
Apologies.
I have an assignment for you.
Interesting. So I think the stream's still live, isn't it? We got away with that. It's kind of like a promotional thing for that, considering we're on the Shenmue Dojo there. I don't know if anyone in the chat potentially hasn't seen the anime yet. You get a good taster of what the anime is all about there. You're getting some additional lore, some additional context there. And this sort of strange relationship between Gui Zhang and Master Chen that you don't really see that sort of side of it in the game, where they're almost at war with each other, aren't they? But yeah, very interesting with the Chiyou monster. I'd love to see that. I'd love for them to go into that sort of depth, Shenmue Online trailer-esque, where you've got your dragon, your phoenix, and maybe the bloody Chiyou thing appears out of nowhere, resurrects itself on Earth. But we're going to find a little bit about Chiyou anyway, just on the off chance that it gets mentioned again in the future of the series. It's always been something that I've heard as I've been playing Shenmue 1. You keep hearing about this mythical beast known as Chiyou. And I said this before, I think, with Matt, that the first time you hear that when you're playing, it's so much grounded in reality that it sort of passes you by, that comment from Master Chen. You don't really think about it as such. It's only really when you play through Shenmue 2 and you're getting all this mysterious stuff happening, you know, the floating sword and all the stuff that happens at the end of Shenmue 2, where you go back and play Shenmue 1 and your mind sort of wonders a bit if, like, this sort of stuff that he's talking about could actually be something that is going to happen at some point. Because, like I say, up until that point, it's like a life simulator. You don't really think of this sort of mythology sort of stuff taking place, but, you know, potentially after what you experience in Shenmue 2, it is a possibility. So Master Chen cutscene, anime video, Chiyou text. And this time I've used Amazon Poly again, but this time I've actually downloaded the file, so we should be able to pause it. We're going to learn a little bit about Chiyou, but I do need, actually I'm going to get the text up because I don't know if anyone is like me. I kind of need to see the text in front of me as we're reading it to to fully grasp what it's saying. So let's go. So again, this is the Handbook of Chinese Mythology. It's a really good book, to be honest. It's probably worth actually buying if you ever see it in a shop, or I suppose on Amazon or something. So we're going to get to Chiyou, which is this section here, page 92. I'm going to make it bigger again, like I did last week, because that worked quite well. And let's play the audio.
Offspring of Yendi, the Flame Emperor, the god of war, and the inventor of military weapons. He rebelled against Huang.
Sorry for pausing straight away, but maybe that is where they had that. Was it on this Long Sun Zhao bit about the leaders? Niao Sun Yandi, the Flame Emperor. Just thinking like Phoenix, Vermilion, Flame Vermilion, whatever it's called, the Vermilion bird.
But failed in the war and was killed. His shackles turned into a maple tree. Fragmentary Chiyou was the offspring of Yendi, the Flame Emperor, the god of war, and the inventor of military weapons.
So Chiyou rebelled against
Huang but failed in the war and was killed. His shackles turned into a maple tree. Fragmentary versions of the Chiyou myth can be found scattered throughout various ancient texts.
I'm really sorry for breaking this up, but just as a point, what if they changed this maple tree into a Shenmue tree? Potential theory there that Chiyou was killed and his shackles, like as in he had like handcuffs on him, turned into a maple tree. I don't know.
Narratives, Chiyou is depicted as the descendant of Yendi. He invented military weapons such as the spear, dagger, axe, sword, and halberd. In one version, he had 80 brothers, 71 brothers in another version, each of them with an animal body, bronze head, and iron forehead, who spoke in a human language. They used sand and stone as their food. Other versions state that Chiyou took iron and stone as his food and that he had a human body, horned head, ox hooves, 4 eyes, 6 hands, and ears and temples like swords and spears. The main event of his life story is recorded in Shanhajing. Chiyou is said to have made weapons and attacked Huangdi. Thus, Huangdi commanded Yinglong to launch an attack against him in the wilderness of the Central Plain. Yinglong began by storing all the water. Chiyou asked Fengbo and Wuxi to release a cloudburst. Then Huangdi asked the drought goddess Ba to descend from heaven and stop the rain. This eventually killed Chiyou, chapter 17. The war between Chiyou and Huangdi is one of the fiercest battles among gods in Chinese mythology, since both sides were very powerful. There are many stories that describe the process and circumstances of the war. One story states that when Chiyou attacked Huangdi, no one was able to stop him because he butted people with his horns. In one version, Chiyou was said to be able to soar into the sky and surmount the dangerous and difficult obstructions. But Huangdi made a drum from the hide of Kui, a one-legged mythical beast, and beat it many times. The sound it made was so great that it prevented Chiyou from flying away. So Chiyou was caught and killed by Huangdi. Another version states that Chiyou led many ferocious mythical animals to attack Huangdi at the Zhuolu plain. So Huangdi ordered his subjects to blow horns sounding like dragons to threaten them. Another version said that Chiyou could stir up clouds and mist. When he fought with Huangdi, he made heavy fog for 3 days. Huangdi's army was caught in it and could not figure out their direction. Huangdi then invented the compass and guided his army out of the fog. Thus, Huangdi defeated Chiyou and killed him. When Chiyou was executed, his head and body were cut off and buried in different places, and his shackles turned into a maple tree.
Okay.
Even after his...
So, Huangdi. Who was suggesting who Huang Di was? Howdy. So none of them. So the Huang Di guy is the Yellow Emperor. So I don't know if there's any sort of connection to Lan Di at all in this. When Chiyou was executed, his head and body were cut off and buried in different places, and his shackle turned. So I don't know where the resurrection of Chiyou is going to tie into that. So even after his death,
Chiyou was still considered a powerful and awful god. One version of the myth said that many years after Huang Di won the battle and killed Chiyou, the world became troubled and confused. In order to deter his people from revolting, Huang Di drew Chiyou's picture and showed it to them, after which the world became peaceful again. During the Qin and Han dynasties, Chiyou was worshipped as the god of war by the army leader and even the first emperor of Qin, Shiji, chapter 8. In addition to myths about Chiyou, he survives in customs and beliefs. According to Shu Yiji, a record of accounts of marvels, written by Ren Fang in the 6th Dynasty's era, there was a kind of drama called Chiyou's Game in Ji province. When dancing it, the local people formed into groups of 2s or 3s. They wore horns on their heads and butted each other. This custom probably started the horn butting game in the Han period. In the villages of Tai'an, people did not use ox heads when offering sacrifices to Chiyou, because Chiyou was ox-headed himself. Chiyou is worshipped as the remote ancestor of the Miao ethnic group. Beliefs about him can be found in aspects of Mao's daily life today. For example, Miao people worship oxen and maple trees. Oxen are thought to be a symbol of luck and of heroism, which can bring safety and prosperity. Designs of ox horns are embroidered on their clothes or carved on their silver decorations. In Miao mythology,
designs of ox horns are embroidered on their clothes or carved on their silver decorations. So this is what we were looking at earlier, wasn't it? The Miao people. Ox horns on their clothes. Let's see if we can find those children. Anything? Like that? Maybe that shape is... This is like more of a close-up image of one. I'm not sure actually. It looks like a butterfly to me. Lovely headdresses though. It was supposed to be a symbol of wealth or something, I think we learnt last week. Interesting though. Maybe something like on there depicts ox, which is designs of ox horns. Oh, okay. What, like that? The horn aspect. Oh shit, okay. So that is like a symbol from like the history of this Chiyou vibe. Do you reckon we would have learnt more about Chiyou and Miao Village on that basis then? So that's where we were going to interact with these sort of Miao people.
Zhongyong, an ancestor of the Miao people, was born from the egg of a goddess who was born from a maple tree. In Shenbu, Hunan province, Miao people believe that the maple god can expel evils. In Wenshan, Magyuan, and other Miao areas in Yunnan province, a traditional festival called Trembling the Flower Mountain is held once every year. It is said that this festival originated from the Chiyou mythic event. After being defeated by Huang Di, Chiyou led his tribes back into the thickly forested mountains. In order to call together the scattered people over the mountains, he planted a long trunk with a colorful red waistband on the mountain and asked the young to dance and blow reed pipes around it. On hearing the sound, people came from all directions. Chiyou gathered them, and they continued to fight against Huang. The custom of dancing and blowing reed pipes around a flower-wreathed pole lasted for generations and has become a traditional festival for the Miao people. The colorful cloth tied to the pole was said to be Chiyou's flag. A song is sung when the pole is planted. The song narrates how Chiyou, the Miao ancestor, fought with Huang, the Han ancestor, and how he was defeated and killed in the end, and thus the Miao people had to flee from the central plain toward the southern mountains.
Right, interesting. Did they have any flags? So the colourful cloth tied to the pole was said to be... Is there any flags anywhere? Colourful cloth. I mean, the whole thing's colourful, isn't it? The outfits and stuff. Love it. Very good. Very interesting. I can't... Did that really tell us too much about the beast itself? Not really. It just sounds like a regular person, doesn't it? That was... or I guess it had ox features. But you can see all the links that come off of this, like Yandi and Huangdi, so we're going to get into that. So maybe we'll get a little bit of a better idea with some of these videos I picked out. So we're going to watch this video 1 first, which is a little bit about this battle between Huangdi and Chiyou.
The descendants of Yang and Huang. It's a term still used today by the Han, the dominant ethnic group in China, to refer to their common ancestry. The origin dates back to a time before Imperial China, and yes, even ancient China.
What plate? Samian? The one in Shenmue 1? Oh, this video won't show the plate.
Ah, the Phoenix Mirror.
You mean when you break into the warehouse and you smash the plate? What does that plate look like again? Shenmue Warehouse 8. I'm sure we can find a video quick on that. 2 minutes 18. Let's go for a playthrough. Ooh, okay. We should get a better picture of the view of this plate. Is that what you were talking about? Oh, the anime one. Let's have a quick look at that, now that you've said that.
And quite a...
I'll just mute that a sec. Ah. Are they daisies? Daisies? See what I mean, though. Might leave that up for a minute. So we've got a bit of an image reference point. I don't know what's going on with that plate. What's that in the middle? I haven't got a clue. I haven't got a clue what's going on there. Looks like the bloody... Is that Mercedes or BMW logo? And then there's like a chili that's on a fishing pole. Just butchering some Chinese law there.
For this story, we find ourselves just before the ancient period of China's history, when China was dominated by tribal unions, 3 of which would soon clash. The famous Yellow Emperor, also known as Huang Di, is a semi-mythical figure who resided in the north with his nomadic tribe, the Yushong. Said to have been conceived after his mother was struck by a lightning bolt, Huang Di would be credited as inventor of Chinese astronomy, the Chinese calendar, carts, clothing, the Ku Qin, an early version of football, and influenced the creation of the first Chinese writing system. His tribe would carry the totems of the black bear, brown bear, Chiyou, leopard, and tiger. To their southwest was the Flame Emperor, known as Yang Di, the Emperor of the South, and his Shennong tribe. They were masters of flame, and used it in their slash and burn farming methods, as well as their totem. Migrating from the west, they would continue eastward, until reaching the Zhuli tribe's territory. After a short...
There you go, there's the image of Chiyou. Is that the similar looking image? So he's holding what appears to be an axe. He's got like a bow on his head and a fork. Yeah, apologies for camera froze there, guys. I should be working all the time, but occasionally it does freeze, so thank you for letting me know. And yeah, like Ren said, these could be a few things that have changed for Shenmue. Why's that so big? This is interesting. This Yan Di guy. Again, the Shen Wiki might be wrong, but they associated Yan Di with Niaosun.
Short skirmish, Yang Di and the Shennong retreated northwest across the Yellow River, right into the hands of Huang Di. There isn't much known about the battle itself, but we do know the Yushong tribe defeated the Shennong. The tribes then merged under the leadership of the Yellow Emperor and would be named the Yang Huang, which should seem familiar to you from this video's opening. The union was significant, as the Yang Huang were seen as the precursors to Chinese ancestry and identity. The tribes would blossom into the Wuxia civilization, and eventually the Han. There have been sources that say this battle is but the culmination of 3 different battles between the Yang Emperor and Huang Emperor, but with anything prior, seen as too small a scale to be considered significant in any way. The Battle of Banshan is regarded as the first major battle in Chinese history.
Interesting stuff. So this location here, Zhuli tribe, this region of China, is actually a place in China. Well, of course, I mean, that's a map. I thought it'd be quite interesting, actually. I found this video. It's actually called Chiyou, Zhuli City in Peng Shui. So this little area here is apparently where Chiyou and his tribe used to reside. Very cool looking area. Love how all these buildings are built up on the mountain. Ox horn sort of features. Ooh. Just noticed that pagoda there. Remember that pagoda from Yuan Zhu's room? In that picture. Structure. So we're going to break up this spoken text actually now with the next one. And this is going to be on Huang Di. It should be here. So again, I don't know if any of this actually ties into Shenmue, but at the moment I'm just sort of trying to learn anything we can about who these people are, and perhaps we can maybe figure out some sort of links to Shenmue. I suppose it doesn't really. Hopefully, it just is interesting. Regardless, it doesn't really need to link to Shenmue as such. But there are some of these themes that do crop up in Shenmue, of course. It's quite long, so. And I've just realised I had it muted as well, didn't I?
And culture. Huang, or the Yellow Emperor, is one of the most renowned legendary figures in Chinese mythology and culture. He is the son of Xiaodian, the half-brother of Yendi, and the forebear of some ethnic groups and many notable deities. He is also the most important of the 5 August emperors. Names differ in different texts. He defeated Yendi, Chiyou, and other deities and became the most powerful ruler of the central part of ancient China in mythical history. In later tradition, he is highly.
He defeated Yandi, Chiyou. So he defeated his own brother. Hang on. He is the son of Xiaodian, the half-brother of Yandi, and so he's the half-brother of Yandi, apparently. But he defeated Yandi and Chiyou. Okay.
Respected as a common ancestor of all Chinese people. Additionally, he is depicted as a great culture hero by inventing almost all of the necessary cultural items in ancient times. In some descriptions he functions as the thunder god. In his name, Huang means yellow, and Di means emperor, therefore he may be called the Yellow Emperor in some English translations. He is also named Xuanyuan. Huang Di's name was already quite popular in written texts during the Warring States era. From then on, he became more and more prominent in Chinese myths, legends, beliefs, and political lives, and hence diverse versions of stories are told about him.
That would be cool, Samian. I reckon you could have a big board, like a murder investigation of coloured twine. I mean, Switch kind of got close to that. If you saw that with his mirrors mind map thing, this is like a lot of the themes sort of that style that you're sort of talking about, I guess. How everything links. We did look at this obviously in episodes 1 and 2. It's just crazy how all this stuff ties into Shenmue. But going into the sort of the mythology side of things, like with what we're sort of discovering here, I don't even know where I'd begin with a mind map for that. You mentioned about the plate, so the middle with the tentacles erupting from it, maybe that's the gate of heaven. Interesting theory. I mean, I don't think I've got a picture up of it anymore. But it was like a weird thing in the middle. Let's continue anyway. I was wondering, can we make this slightly faster? Is there like a playback speed somewhere? Playback speed. Faster. How faster is that?
According to a text from Shitzi, written in the Warring States era, but now preserved only in later collections, portrayed as a human being with 4 faces. Another version describes his miraculous birth. His mother, Fubao, saw a great bolt of lightning one night circling one of the stars in the Great Bear. In traditional Chinese belief, astronomical phenomena are often connected with special and momentous events of the world. The eclipse, the brightness or...
Great Bear was that the Big Dipper? The Great Bear. Oh, this is part 2, isn't it? Where's part 1? Part 1. Great Bear. Big Dipper. Okay. So his mother, Fubao, who's the mother of Huang Di, okay, saw a great bolt of lightning one night circling one of the stars in the Great Bear. Okay, interesting.
Dimness of the stars, the falling of meteors, and the unusual interaction between stars and planets are taken as the signs of the birth or death of a great man, or the prosperity or decline of a dynasty. It was so bright that it lit up the area nearby. Then Fubao became pregnant, and after 25 months she gave birth to Huang Di. A text from Dada Liji, the Elder Dai's records of ritual, ca. 1st century BC, describes that when Huangdi was just born, he was smart; when he was a baby, he could talk; when he was a child, he was quick; when he grew up, he was honest and clever; when he was an elder, he was wise. In some writings, Huangdi was 300 years old when he died. In writings of the Warring States era and the Han Dynasty, Huangdi often appears as the ruler of the central part of the world. A text from Hainanzi, chapter 3, sets Huangdi and the other 4 divine emperors in an orderly pantheon distributed in 5 directions: east, south, west, north, and center, and 5 elements: wood, fire, metal, water, and earth. In traditional Chinese philosophy, the whole world is made of these 5 elements. It says that the east belongs to wood. Its god is Chiyou. His subordinate is Gumang. Both of them hold the compasses and control the season of spring. The south belongs to fire. Its god is Yendi. His subordinate is Huming. Both of them hold the beams of steelyards and control the season.
His subordinate is Zooming. Huangdi. Is he talking about Huangdi? Hang on then. Huangdi often appears as the ruler of the central part of the world. Huangdi and the other 4 divine emperors. So you've got the 4 leaders in Shenmue, haven't you? You've got the black tortoise snake thing that we looked at earlier, black turtle, sorry. The azure dragon, which is Landi. You've got the vermilion bird, which is Niaosun. And you've got the white tiger, which, I don't know, could be Ryo, could be Wow, I don't know, could be some Chiyoumen boss that is linked to a tiger as well. I just saw the word goal there, because you've got that goal tie, or whatever we were looking at a little bit earlier. Was it Gentai? It was Gentai, actually, wasn't it? But there is a goal. Was there a go? There's a core tie, an end tie, a Gentai, and what was the other one? Oh, Genbu, Gentai, Rantai. Okay, all the ties. Yeah, let's close that now. But that's very interesting, because we did learn, I think, from an interview. Was it Shenmue Master did another interview as well, where I think they said that Zimming isn't a leader. He's just someone that works for someone. And we see actually the chapter. Oh, let's get that up. So you've got the Shenmue 2 Xbox story comic I put in. So what we want is the Shuing and Zimming one. Oh, hang on, is it going to show us the pages? I want to see the actual pages. Side stories, scans, anyone got any high-res ones? Let's just have a look at images, I'm sure some will crop up. That's the Joy one. That's the Chapter 2 Boat one. Typically, I cannot see the Zimming one that I was looking for. But I'm pretty sure Niaosun is speaking to Zimming. Let's try that. Ah, here we go. This page. Or is he? I don't know, actually, thinking about it. Was Zimming mentioned as a leader back in the day or not? I'm trying to think, because you have got this picture that James Rayner's put here, and that's supposed to be Zimming, right? Because you can kind of see the shape of his body or whatever matches up with this outfit. This is Zimming. This is Shuing's brother. So perhaps he is a leader. So you've got Landy, Dragon, Vermilion Bird, Phoenix thing, or whatever. Black Tortoise there. Maybe he's the White Tiger. Would that work? Zimming was not a leader. I thought that, I remember someone saying that. So that kind of does work then from this context. Maybe this is where they've got that name from. Zooming. Maybe these stories and stuff, Yu Suzuki's seen these as part of the research. Yeah. Okay. So, if this is correct, that Niaosun, sorry this is all over the shop, guys, hopefully you're following. In this Wikipedia, they've put that Niaosun is Yandi, okay? In this Chinese book of mythology, it's saying that the south belongs to fire, its god is Yandi, so that makes sense. Niaosun is the leader of the south. But in this context, Yandi is a man, not a woman. But that's okay. Shenmue's taken some liberties, they've changed it slightly. But it's saying his subordinate is Zuming. And in this comment page, you can clearly see Niaosun talking to Ziming. So she's higher up than he is. Crazy. So I think that is, like you said, that is a bit of a surprise, isn't it? I wasn't expecting to come across anyone called Zuming. Zuming. It's got to be right.
Of summer. The center belongs to Earth. Its god is Huangdi. His subordinate is Hutu. Both of them hold the ropes and control the 4 directions. The west belongs to metal. Its god is Xiaohao. His subordinate is Rushu. Both of them hold the carpenter's squares and control the season of autumn. The north belongs to water. Its god is Zhuangxu. His subordinate is Xuanming. Both of them hold the sliding weights of steelyards and control the season of winter. Being the most powerful ruler of the center and the other 4 directions, Huangdi enjoys high status and distinction. A text from Hanfeizi, written by Hanfei, ca. 280.
Second, sorry. So Huangdi, that's a funeral stone carving of the Eastern Han Dynasty. The inscription reads, Huangdi made numerous creations and transformations. He invented weapons, wells, and the field system. He invented clothes and the house. Being the most powerful ruler of the center and the other 4 directions, Huangdi enjoys a high status and distinction. So there is a theory, I think, that there's the 4 leaders and then there's a bigger leader above them who would be that Tentai guy. So essentially this yellow emperor could be Tentai. Or, like Shenmue's take on this yellow emperor. So Huangdi that we're reading about here could potentially be that Tentai guy that we've heard about in interviews, and so I think there's a leader above these 4 leaders that make this group of 5. So yeah, I think that is coming together a bit now. Actually, that's making sense in my head. Who is the old man in the Project Berkeley video? There could be a guy in the Project Berkeley video who is Tentai, definitely. I think me and Matt were coming up with a bit of a theory. I don't know, when was it? We were looking at the Shenmue beta stuff in that podcast episode, and there was a bloke that kept popping up with like big prayer beads around his neck, and put my little prayer beads on here. That's just a coincidence. But I think it's like Taoism, right? Yeah. So potentially that could be Tentai, and Tentai we could be researching a little bit about here under the name of Huangdi. Why is the camera frozen again? There you go. I always on window things there. It's just because I don't know. I don't normally have stuff over my camera, so that's probably fucking it up. Yeah, cheers, Matt. Let's crack on anyway. But I think we're finding a couple of things out here, which is interesting.
To 233 BC indicates that when Huangdi assembled the deities and ghosts on Mount Tai, he was surrounded by many entourages. Elephants and dragons pulled the cart for him, the divine bird by Fang accompanied him, Chiyou led the way, Fengbo cleaned the road, Ushi created sprinkles of rain along the way, tigers and wolves ran ahead, and deities and ghosts followed him. Some Chinese mythologists argue that there must have been several wars between Huangdi and the other 4 divine emperors, and only after Huangdi defeated all of them could he become the most powerful. Yuan 1996, 105. According to a text written in the Three Kingdoms era, which now can only be seen in later collections, at the beginning of Huangdi's era he cared about cultivating his temperament and loved his people. He did not like war at all. But the other 4 emperors boasted about their own directions and colors. The east belongs to wood, so its color is therefore green, the south belongs to fire, so its color is red, the west belongs to metal, with the color white, and the north, water, has the color black. The center belongs to earth, with the color yellow, therefore Huangdi is called Yellow Emperor. They conspired to attack Huangdi. Huang Di's soldiers were so concentrated on preparing for the fight that they did not remove their armor. Huang Di sighed and said, "If the ruler on high is in danger, his people will suffer from instability. If the ruler loses his kingdom, his subordinates will have to serve another country. Now I am a ruler on high, but the 4 emperors attack me and put my army on constant alert. How can I bear this situation?" So he went to the fortified walls and commanded the army himself. In the end, he defeated the 4 emperors. Though Huang Di is often depicted in...
He kills the 4 emperors, as in... Because he did say he killed his half-brother, which was Yan Di. So maybe in Shenmue, Niao Sun is related to Tentai, or like a half-sister or something. And maybe he kills her? I can't imagine him killing Lan Di, though.
Later tradition as a peaceable and benevolent ruler, he fought with various mythological deities. Thus, he is sometimes interpreted as a warrior god, Biril 1993, 130. The most well-known wars perhaps are the ones between Huang Di and Yan Di, and between Huang Di and Chiyou.
Okay.
Yan Di is the half-brother of Huang Di, the god of the south. In a text from Xinshu, New Documents, written by a Han Dynasty writer, Jia Yi, 201-168 BC, Yan Di is said to have controlled half of the world while Huang Di controlled the other half. Huang Di ruled his kingdom based on benevolence and love, but Yan Di did not follow these principles. Thus they fought at the open plain of Suolu, which now belongs to modern Hebei province. The battle was so fierce and brutal that the victim's blood flowed like a stream that could float the pestles. At last Huang Di killed Yan Di and took his land. The world then became peaceful. In another version, from Lizi, when Huang Di fought against Yan Di in the countryside of Bangquan, he ordered black bears, grizzly bears, wolves, panthers, cougars, and tigers to be his vanguards, while the eagles, fighting pheasants, falcons, and phoenixes were his banners. Another Huang Di myth states that the battle between the 2 brothers lasted for a long time. Huang Di fought against his brother many times before finally winning the war. The battle between Huang Di and Chiyou seems much fiercer and larger in scale. Chiyou is the descendant of Yan Di. In some accounts he is said to have 80 brothers, 71 brothers in another version, each with an animal body, bronze head, and iron forehead, speaking a human language. They used sand and stone as their food. Other versions state that Chiyou had a human body, horned head, ox hooves, 4 eyes, 6 hands, and ears and temples like swords and spears. He seems to be a former subordinate of Huang Di, see the text above from Hanfeizi, but later he somehow became a rebel. According to a text from Shanhejing, chapter 17, Chiyou made weapons and attacked Huang Di, so Huang Di commanded Yinglong to launch an attack against Chiyou in the wilderness of the central plain. Yinglong began by storing all of the water. Chiyou asked Fengbo and Wu Shi to release a cloudburst. Then Huang Di asked the drought goddess Ba to descend from heaven, and the rain was stopped. Eventually Huang Di killed Chiyou. There are many stories describing the course and circumstances of the war. One story states that Chiyou was able to soar into the sky and surmount the dangerous and difficult obstructions. But Huang Di made a drum from the hide of Kui, a one-legged mythical creature, and beat it many times. The sound it made was so great that it prevented Chiyou from flying away, and he was caught and killed by Huang Di. Another version states that Chiyou led many ferocious mythical animals to attack Huang Di on the Zuolu plain. In response, Huang Di ordered his subjects to blow horns sounding like dragons to threaten them. Another version asserts that Chiyou could stir up clouds and mist. When he fought with Huang Di, he made heavy fog for 3 days. Huang Di's army was caught in it and could not determine their direction. Huang Di then invented the compass cart and guided his army out of the fog. Thus, Huang Di defeated Chiyou and killed him. Some versions maintain that after Huang Di fought against Chiyou many times and still could not win, he retreated with his army to Mount Tai. There was a thick fog lasting for 3 days. In the fog, Huang Di saw a lady with a woman's head and a serpent's body. He kowtowed, bowed twice, flattened himself against the ground, and did not dare to stand up. The lady said, "I am Xuan Nu," literally means dark lady, a Taoist goddess in later tradition. What do you want to ask me?
I am Shenmue. Does that not look like the journey to the Cliff Temple? Does look close to the Cliff Temple sort of stuff, doesn't it? Like, obviously, the only research we've got on what that is was it Sergi Nest had that hanging temple, but for all we know, that that's not a fact, is it, that that's going to end up being that? This kind of looks like how Shenmue 3 ends, and you can kind of see a sort of a cliffy thing in the distance. Shenmue 3 ending. Spoilers! Hopefully this has got the actual ending. Yeah, should do. This bit.
You'd better not run, Landi. I will avenge my father.
Look a bit rocky. Oh shit. I'm trying to do too much at once. Maybe not then. But just remember that anyway. You saw it here first, guys, if this turns out to be the Cliff Temple. Mount Tai. What am I doing? And then I heard something about Shenmue, right? What was that? That was a weird... We go back to about 950. Hello?
A creature, and beat it many times. The sound it made was fog lasting for 3 days. In the fog, Huang saw a lady with a woman's head and a serpent's body. He kowtowed, bowed twice, flattened himself against the ground, and did not dare to stand up. The lady said, "I am Xuannu," literally means dark lady, a Taoist goddess in later tradition.
It was just
what do you want
hearing
to ask
the audio
me?
on it too.
Huang answered, "I hope I can get myriad attacks, myriad wins." So the goddess taught him the art of war, and he defeated Chiyou in the end. In some accounts Huang is said to have fought 55 times and then the whole world obeyed him. Some Chinese historians believe that Huang is a legendary clan leader in primitive China, the same as Yan Di. During the process of their clan's growth and expansion, Huang and Yan Di commanded many battles against other clans. They ultimately became the most powerful clan leaders in the Central Plain. Since their clans formed the basic part of the Huoxia ethnic group, which later made up the main body of Han Chinese, Huang and Yan Di were thus worshipped as the ancient ancestors of the Han Chinese and, furthermore, of the whole Chinese nation. Today Han Chinese still identify themselves as the descendants of Huang and Yan Di. Besides these stories about Huang Di's wars, another big cluster of Huang Di myths refers to his many cultural inventions. In these myths he is depicted as the fountainhead of Chinese culture and civilization. He drilled the wood for fire, and then cooked fresh meat. By following his lead, his people did not suffer stomach diseases from then on. He hollowed a tree trunk to make a boat and cut branches to make oars. Therefore people could go to distant places by water. He tamed cattle and horses to draw carts so that people could use them to carry heavy goods. Inspired by the Origeron that could endlessly rotate in the wind, he made the wood cart. And that is why he was also called Xuan Yuan. Xuan refers to a high-fronted, curtained carriage used in ancient times, and Yuan refers to the shafts of a cart. He cut trees and used them to build a variety of houses to protect people from wind and rain. He invented hats, crowns, and clothes. He cut wood to make pestles, and dug earth to make mortar. He made a cauldron to steam rice. He made coins. He found the way of measuring weight, and invented the clepsydra as a device for measuring time. He started the football game. After he met the goddess Yuan, he made 12 mirrors, and used one in each month. So it was also Huang Di who invented the mirror. He invented coffins for the dead. After he killed Chiyou, he buried him, and that originated the custom of burial. Various myths and legends continue to attribute many inventions and discoveries to him, such as music, writing, Chinese medicine, the art of war, the interpretation of dreams, and astronomy. In other myth versions he is said to have made the rules for wedding ceremonies, distributed lands and built the country, and started rituals and markets. All in all, as an ancient writer noted, all of the techniques and crafts are started from Xuan Yuan, Shaiwu Juan, the origin of items, written in the Song dynasty, chapter 7. Among his numerous inventions, the compass cart is famed. A legend collected in the 1980s in Xinsheng County, Henan Province, said to be Huang Di's hometown, explained how Huang Di invented the compass cart. Huang Di was a chieftain in the Central Plain, and Yan Di was a chieftain in the east. Admiring the better life in the Central Plain,
like
Yendi commanded his clan to attack Huang Di's. Though Yendi failed in the battle, the winner, Huang Di, wanted to ally with him. They became sworn brothers, and their clans were united into one large country. Meanwhile, in the southeast, there was another.
So are they actually brothers? He said half brothers at the top. Though Yendi failed in the battle, the winner, Huang Di, wanted to ally with him. They became sworn brothers.
The clan, and its leader was Chiyou. Chiyou also coveted the prosperity of the Central Plain, so he ordered his people to invade the Central Plain. Huang Di then commanded his army to fight Chiyou. It was the middle of autumn, and there often was heavy fog. Having difficulty discerning the direction, Huang Di's army was defeated several times. Therefore, Huang Di spent much time in discovering a means for telling the directions. At length he found that a kind of magnetite could help. He then made a carved wooden man with a magnetite hand installed on it. No matter where he was, the magnetite hand always pointed to the south. Therefore, Huang Di named it Fang, direction. Later Huang Di built a cart and fixed the carved man on it, so it could easily be moved around. Huang Di called the whole system Xuanyuan Fang. Sometime later the name was changed to Compass Cart. In addition to these inventions directly made by Huang Di himself, many cultural items were made by his officials, sometimes under his instructions. For example, according to texts from Shaiban, he asked Sai to make a system for observing the sun, Chongxi to make a system for observing the moon, Yuk to create methods to observe the stars, Linglun to make music, Danao to compile the heavenly stems and the earthly branches. The 10 heavenly stems and 12 earthly branches are used in combination to designate years, months, days, and hours, Lizu to formulate arithmetic, Rongchang to create the calendar, and Zhuyong and Kangji to create writing. In other texts, his officers also invented the mortar and pestle, boats, bows and arrows, crowns, cloth, shoes, drums, mirrors, domesticated cattle, and other things. Even one of his 4 wives, Li Zhu, is a famous culture heroine. She started sericulture, the cultivation of silkworms and production of silk, and therefore she was worshipped as the sericulture goddess after she died. One myth version holds that she died while on an inspection tour with Huang Di, so Huang Di honored her as the road goddess. Huang Di has a grand family. Another wife of his, Momu, is also well known. Though she seems not to have made any special discoveries or creations, she still wins much respect. She was unsightly in appearance, but of great virtues, so Huang Di married her and let her supervise his other concubines. Today some Chinese women without good looks still call themselves Momu, implying that they have virtue inside. Huang Di has many distinguished descendants, such as Gun and Wu, the great heroes who controlled the flood, Zhuangxu, the mythical emperor, Zhang and Li, the heroes separating heaven from earth, Shujin, the cultivation god, and Yu Kaiang, the sea god. Huang Di also is said to have originated some ancient ethnic groups, such as Huantu, Miaomin, and Quanrong. Huang Di has some relationship with Taoism. During the Warring States era, he was adopted into the Taoist philosophy and respected as a great ancient saint who advocated silence and inaction and encouraged the worship of nature. Later he became a god in the Taoist pantheon. Likewise, there are stories that depict Huang Di as an immortal. Some popular legends describe how Huang Di ascended to heaven at the end of his secular life. According to the historicized descriptions of Huang Di's life history in Shiji, Huang Di gathered copper at Mount Shoshan. He used it to make a big ding, a tripod cauldron. When the ding had been made, a dragon with a long beard descended from heaven to meet him. Huang Di rode on it, and more than 70 of his officials and concubines followed him. Since there were too many lower subordinates to ride on the dragon, they grabbed onto the dragon's beard and were dragged along underneath. They were so heavy that they pulled the beard out before the dragon could ascend to heaven. Huang Di's bow also fell. With Huang Di ascending to heaven, people on the ground held his bow and the dragon's beard and cried. From then on, the place was called Ding Hu, who means beard, and the bow was called Wu Hao, meaning cry. Some other sources suggest that Huang Di chose his death date himself. When the day came, he said goodbye to his officials. After he died, he was buried at Mount Chao, now in Wangling County, Shanxi Province, in northwest China. But the mountain soon collapsed, and his coffin was found empty except for his sword and shoes. Today Huang Di's myths and legends are still told in China. In Zhensheng County, for example, nearly 20 Huang Di myths and legends were collected from local oral tradition in the 1980s and were published in 1990. They tell various stories about Huang Di's divine birth and marriage, his wars with Yendi and Chiyou, his wonderful reign over the mythical kingdom, and his ascension to heaven. One legend explains why the local crab has 10 legs rather than the normal 8. Huang Di's officials found a huge stone cave for their industrious emperor to spend his summer. It was very cool inside, and there was a pond in front of it. Huang was satisfied with living in the cave except that there were groups of mosquitoes, fleas, scorpions, and mice disturbing him. He said unconsciously to his subordinates, if only these disturbances could be exterminated. The crab living in the pond heard this and it cleared these pests away. When Huang found that it was the crab in the pond that had helped him, he rewarded it with 2 more legs. Thereafter, only the crab in the local pond has 10 legs. As the prominent hero and common ancestor of Han Chinese people, Huang receives great respect in Chinese history. During the late imperial era, he was respected as one of the common ancient ancestors of everyone in the Chinese nation, Zhongguo Minzu, in the process of constructing a modern nation. He no longer belonged only to the Han. All of the non-Han ethnic groups, whether Mongolian or Chang, were also the offspring of Huang. Now the collective memory of the descendants of Huang and Yan is widely held by Chinese all over the world. Huang has become a cultural symbol that is often used to reinforce the unified identity of Chinese people and to solidify group attachments among the 56 ethnic groups in China. On April 5, the tomb sweeping day of 2003, a large sacrificial ritual offering to Huang was held at the Xuanyuan Temple in Wangaling County, Shanxi Province. Among the people who attended the ceremony were many important officials of the Communist Party and representatives of overseas Chinese from Hong Kong, Taiwan, Macau, Oman, Canada, Australia, and Southeast Asia. They came together to worship the common ancestor of the Chinese people and the founder of human civilization.
Rightio, there they are, guys. Depicted for all eternity. Well, as long as those statues survive, that's Yan and Huang, the Yellow Emperor, and I guess the Emperor that's based on Niaosan. So I reckon just out of that text that we got there, and there's probably a lot going on in that text that I personally didn't follow at all, but just picking up bits and bobs, I think we found out that Huang is Tentai, potentially. Yan does sound like what Shenmue's version of Niaosan is, and that was a nice little bit about Ziming, actually, that we got, the subordinate of Yan and the creator of the mirrors, which I don't know, because it's Mr. Yuan's grandfather that created actually those 2 stone mirrors, right? So I'm not sure if that relates to anything Shenmue wise. I do realise it's 11 o'clock, but to be honest, I'm going to crack on. I'm going to get through the rest of this stuff because it all links together, and I'm not sure how I'm going to, if I ended the stream now, how I would go about doing it. So we've got a couple more videos to get through. This is the other half of the battle.
Chinese history is some of the most extensive and interesting out of any region. We will hopefully have tales for each one of these time periods, but a period too early for our chart, Bronze Age China, begs us our ears for one last tale. Off the heels of the Battle of Banshan, which saw the Yellow Emperor tame the Flame Emperor and unite the tribes into the Yang Huang, Chiyou is about to test his mettle. Yang Di and Huang Di are now united under the Yang Huang tribe, and with more tribe comes more necessities.
So this is where the allied...
Their fighting troops alone were around 8,000 to 15,000 strong. Searching for more farming land, the Yang Huang expanded east, following the Yellow River, to the East China Sea. This east was already claimed by Chiyou and his tribe the Zhu, translated to the 9 Lis. If you recall,
Li is dragon, so Chiyou's tribe translates to 9 dragons. There's an interesting Shenmue reference as well.
They had a brief skirmish with the Yang Emperor, which sent the Shennong tribe into the Yellow Emperor's territory before the Battle of Banshan. 15,000 to 21,000 strong was their fighting force. Chiyou and his tribes were experts at warfare and weapons crafting. Chiyou himself was said to have a bronze head with 4 eyes and 6 arms. Legends say he had the legs of a bear and head of a bull. While this is most likely myth, historical sources credit him as fierce and brave. The expansion eastward of the Yang Huang and westward expansion of the 9 Li resulted in a 10-year battle on the fertile plains of the Yellow River at Zhoulu. According to the myth, Chiyou allied himself with the giant tribe of the Fu, who was said to have chased the sun. Chiyou then called the rain and wind gods to form a fog that confuses Huang Di's troops, giving the Nine Li the advantage.
Okay.
They had the use of halberds and swords in addition to their magic. Huang Di countered this by creating a south-pointing chariot, so his tribe wouldn't get lost. In the end, Nuba, the drought goddess, comes down to counter the rain and wind god's powers, and to change the tide of battle. Yingling, the winged dragon deity, and faithful servant to Huang Di, ultimately kills Chiyou and Fu. The non-mythical and more historically accurate account is similar, with the fog being natural, and the Yang Huang simply using drums and blowing horns to keep the enemy at bay. Sources say, however, the Yellow Emperor did create a south-pointing chariot that aided them in the fog. As in the mythological account, Chiyou was eventually captured and killed, minus the dragon. Chiyou might sound like the villain, but neither Yang Di, nor the leader of the Nine Li, were seen as evil, simply because of their wars with the revered Yellow Emperor. All three are seen as founding ancestors of China, Chiyou being seen as a war deity, and as having contributed to the founding of the Wuxia civilization, which began here, with the Yellow Emperor setting his capital at Zhou, along the Yellow River. The Nine Li, having lost almost all their army, agreed to join the Wuxia, but the ones who didn't were cast out to the south, splitting into two groups, the Miao in the southwest, and the Li in the southeast. These would become two ethnic groups in China that would grow distinctly from the Han. With the Battle of Zhou settled, we leave our founders of the Chinese civilization. For the time being. Next time we meet, the battle perhaps.
Hey guys, thanks for watching the Myths and Legends series as we continue the story of the creation of the world as told through Chinese legends. And in this video, we're going to talk about another legendary figure that helped to shape ancient China, Huang Di, or the Yellow Emperor. This is his magical story. The Yellow Emperor was believed to be the common ancestor of all Chinese people, as well as the first emperor
and
in
he made
Chinese
the world.
history. Legends say that after he successfully completed his mission of building a utopian society in China, the Yellow Emperor became the first person ever to ascend to the heavens. But his journey was not an easy one. During the Yellow Emperor's reign, there were many tribes that existed in China. He himself was also the leader of a tribe called Youxiong. The emperor not only managed his own tribe well, he also protected other weaker tribes at the same time. But of course, when there's good in the world, there is also bad. Another tribe leader named Chiyou brought nothing but harm to the region. He used his supernatural powers to commit cruel and aggressive acts against other tribes and brought about suffering to anyone who dared to oppose him. One day, Chiyou decided to invade the Yan Emperor's tribe. Helpless and defeated, the Yan Emperor turned to the Yellow Emperor for help. In total, they fought 9 battles, and the Yellow Emperor lost all of them. As a result, he retreated to Mount Tai and prayed to the heavens for help. Suddenly, dense fog appeared and covered the mountains for 3 days, and after 3 days has passed, a goddess with a human face and a bird's body appeared. She was known as 九天玄女, or Mysterious Lady of the 9 Heavens, and she taught the Yellow Emperor the art of war. Once he learned the art of war, the Yellow Emperor returned to Chiyou and requested a final battle. Chiyou used his powers to create a thick fog on the battlefield that obscured the visions of the Yellow Emperor's soldiers. To counterattack the fog, the Yellow Emperor crafted a magic chariot that always pointed to the south, no matter which direction it goes. As a result, his soldiers were able to escape the fog and continue the battle. The Yellow Emperor then summoned a dragon that could flood Chiyou's army, but Chiyou was just as quick and summoned a storm that could extinguish the Yellow Emperor's army. To save his soldiers from the storm, the Yellow Emperor summoned the goddess of drought, who used her power to nullify the wind in the ring and eventually win the battle. After the battle, the Yellow Emperor united all the tribes.
What year is this? It's not that 17... This email that mentioned the drought. May 1760, the drought continues. The goddess of drought has caused all the crops in Bailu to there's no herbs anywhere because there's no rain to grow them. Imagine all the flowers in Bailu village. It's all that colourful stuff around the Verdant Bridge. Just not growing.
won and earned the people's loyalty and respect. But soon his people became greedy and unhappy. The Yellow Emperor, unable to fix the situation, became worried and frustrated. One night, the emperor had a dream that he visited a country called Huaxu, where people lived in a harmonious world filled with complete happiness. Everyone had the ability to fly, breathe underwater, and even touch fire without getting burnt. There were no desires among the citizens and no fear of life or death either. It was just a perfect country. When the Yellow Emperor woke up from his dream, he was greatly inspired by what he had seen and knew he had to cultivate his own inner heart before he could manage the country well. When the Yellow Emperor turned 120 years old, even divine beings visited his country and lived harmoniously among his people. One day, while a celebration was held near the Jing Mountains, a gold dragon appeared. The Yellow Emperor, knowing that he had completed his mission as well as reached the end of his cultivation, climbed on the dragon's back and ascended to the heavens.
Gold dragon now. Right then, guys, so I did want to just get rid of this. So we have got a very short bit now on Yandi. So we'll see if we can see some sort of a tie to who's meant to be Niao Sun, according to Shen Wiki there as well. So we're just going to play this quick, and then we're going to end.
South.
Oops, we're going to end with one last video that kind of sums it all up, hopefully, and then that will come to the end of the stream. A little bit of a longer one, but hopefully, again, you're still stuck with me. You're still finding this interesting. Yeah, so this is about Yandi.
5 August emperors, names differ in different texts, who ruled over the 5 directions and 5 elements. He is the half-brother of Huangdi. He engaged in an extensive war against Huangdi and lost. In later tradition, Yendi was often confused with Shenang, the divine farmer. Afterward he was further respected jointly with Huangdi as the common ancestor of all Chinese people. Literally Yen means flame, and Di means emperor.
Okay.
According to an account from Shiji, Yendi was the son of Xiaodian. He was born after his mother, Nune, was touched by a divine dragon and became pregnant. Xiaodian was also said to be the father of Huangdi, the Yellow Emperor. In this explanation, Yendi and Huangdi were brothers. This relationship is demonstrated in another account from Xinshu, New Documents, written by a Han Dynasty writer, Jia Yi, 201-168 BC. It states that Yendi was Huangdi's half-brother. The same text describes the war between Yendi and Huangdi. At the beginning of their time, each of the 2 brothers controlled half of the world. Huangdi ruled his kingdom based on benevolence and morality, but Yendi did not follow these principles. This finally caused a war between them at the open plain of Suolu, which now belongs to modern Hebei province. The battle was fierce and brutal. It ended in the failure of Yendi. Huangdi then executed Yendi and took over his land. The world therefore became peaceful. The war between Yendi and his brother is one of the most noteworthy deeds that Yendi did. It is also one of the most well-known stories in Chinese mythology. Versions of this myth can easily be found in both written texts and oral traditions. However, as for the end of Yendi, the explanation is quite different in various accounts. Versions recorded in early texts such as the one cited above from Xinshu state that Yendi was killed by stories told by people today, the event is the opposite. For example, a narrative collected in the 1980s in Zhensheng County, Henan Province, says that after being defeated, Yendi accepted Huangdi's good intentions and became an ally to him. They became sworn brothers, and their clans were united into one large country. This version is a good rationalization for the reason both Yendi and Huangdi have been identified as common ancestors of Chinese people for a long time. In early texts, Yendi is also known as one of the 5 August emperors, gods that were distributed according to the 5 directions, east, south, west, north, and center, and the 5 elements, wood, fire, metal, water, and earth. Their names may be different in various stories. According to a popular account, Yendi was the god of the south and the element of fire. He and his subordinate Xuming managed the beams of steelyards and controlled the season of summer. As an exalted god, Yendi had many distinguished descendants who were also...
Let's have a look at this picture. So, god of summer, south and fire. Yeah, okay. That's how he looks. Doesn't quite look like Niao Sun to me.
So famous figures in Chinese mythology. One example is his daughter Nuwa, literally Nu means female, and Wa means child. She drowned while playing in the sea. but she was so unyielding to death that she turned into Jinwei, a mythical bird, and indomitably tried to fill up the sea with pebbles. Another of Yendai's daughters, Yaoji, is also well known for her transformation after dying. She changed into a mythical grass that could make the person who ate it attract other people, causing them to fall in love with that person. Besides these uncommon daughters, the two eminent deities Chiyou, the god of war, and Zhurong, the god of the fire and of the south in some myth versions, are also said to be Yendai's descendants. In later tradition, Yendi was confused with another great god, Shenang, the divine farmer. He takes Shenang's basic mythological functions as his own. Therefore, in myths recorded or told by people in later times, Yendi not only appears as the god of the south and summer, the half-brother of Huang who fought against Huang at Suolu, but also as the god of agriculture and medicine, and is given the title Yendi Shenangshi. She here is a respectful form of address for gods.
Shenongshi. Yendi Shenongshi. Yeah, interesting. Not sure if I learnt too much out of that particular one. Oh, so that's a bird. Apparently a bird in Chinese mythology. Right, so last video, guys, and then we'll end the stream here. This is kind of just a retelling of the stuff on the Yellow Emperor, but I quite like. I thought this was a good video of to sum up everything we've kind of just learned. If everyone's been following along.
The Yellow Emperor is regarded as the founder of Chinese civilization and has long served as a
Sounds like that music at the start of Guilin.
Powerful symbol of a unified China, even in today's modern China. The Yellow Emperor, or Huang, was the first in the line of rulers who lived in what is a sort of pre-dynastic age. Although the Yellow Emperor is supposed to be from the very ancient days of China, he started to become important first during the Warring States period, because he harkened back to a time when China was unified as a people who called themselves the Huaxia, and this character for Hua is still used in the name for China today, Zhonghua Renmin Gongheguo, the People's Republic of China. So what did the Yellow Emperor do exactly? According to legend, Huang Di's mother, Fu Bao, became pregnant with him after seeing mysterious lights in the sky surrounding the Big Dipper. The sky grew very bright and she got pregnant. 24 months later,
Surrounding the Big
Fu
Dipper
Bao gave birth to the Yellow Emperor. The Yellow Emperor was the leader of a tribe belonging to a kind of coalition of tribes, Huaxia Buluo. This territory was shared between other tribes also belonging to the Huaxia culture. One of those other leaders was called the Yendi, or the Flame Emperor. To the east, there were tribes called the Jiuli, or the Nine Li, and they had a tribal leader called Chiyou. Throughout Chinese history, the Yellow Emperor has been credited with inventing all of the hallmarks of Chinese civilization. Not only that, but he also invented the Chinese diadem, throne rooms, the bowsling. He was said to have founded astronomy and created the first Chinese calendar, created math calculations, and wrote laws. Oh, and he also invented kind of Chinese football. The Yellow Emperor was not just considered to be a genius, though he was also a really good leader. When he wanted to write down his first calendar, he asked another tribesman, Cangjie, to invent a writing system, Chinese. And meanwhile, the Yellow Emperor's wife invented silk. All this took place during a time of war. The Huaxia people and the Jiuli people were hostile to each other. The Flame Emperor Yendi launched an invasion on the Jiuli tribes, but was defeated. In his attempt to retreat northward, he brought his army into the tribal area of the Yellow Emperor, instigating a territorial dispute. The Yellow Emperor defeated Yendi's army in the Battle of Banquan. He now controlled all of the Huaxia area and launched his own attack on Chiyou in the Battle of Zhuolu. After his victory, all of the central plains of China were brought under the control of the Yellow Emperor. The newly merged tribes ruled over by Huang Di, the Yellow Emperor, referred to itself as the Yan Huang tribe, and this has given rise to the term Yan Huang Zizun, and to this day, the people of China still sometimes refer to themselves as the children of Yan and Huang. It's important to remember that there is no archaeological evidence for the existence of the Yellow Emperor or for the stories told about him. For most of Chinese history, the Yellow Emperor was seen as a historical figure. That was the belief of the great Han historian Sima Qian. Later, French historians of the 1920s argued that they were historicized legends at best, and this was a belief that came to be shared by other Chinese scholars of the period who founded the Doubting Antiquity school. The most ancient surviving reference made to Huang Di, the Yellow Emperor, has been found on a 4th century BC bronze vessel in the state of Qi. Around this time, there emerged a cult of the Yellow Emperor, and they saw Huang Di as being the originator of this concept of the centralized China. Over the thousands of years of Chinese history, more and more Chinese cultural achievements were attributed not to individuals, but to the Yellow Emperor. For instance, the Taoists said that many Taoist concepts were his idea, and even a book of medicine, Huang Di Nei Jing, cites him as the originator of different traditional Chinese medicine techniques. The Yellow Emperor continued to be a powerful symbol for Chinese unification, even during the Republican era, appearing on banknotes in 1912. Other minority races of China, like the Manchu or the Mongols and the Tibetans, came to be included in this concept of the Zhonghua Minzu, or the people of the Huaxia. Briefly, the Yellow Emperor was banned during the beginning of the Communist era. At the end of the Cultural Revolution, this ban was lifted in the 1980s, and in 1984, Deng Xiaoping said that Taiwan was rooted in the identity of the Huaxia. When the first Chinese person finally made it into space, this event was even informally described by party leaders as being the first son of Yan Di and the Yellow Emperor to reach space. The Yellow Emperor is more than just a person. He is a symbol, and a powerful symbol, that preserves the sense of identity China has needed across the thousands of years to stay together and to remain stable. And there's no reason to think that this idea is going to go away anytime soon. Much like the reluctance of the USA to let go of their mythology about Christopher Columbus and the discovery of America. Founding myths are powerful, and they're important. The Yellow Emperor is one of the finest examples of that.
Very good, very good. So, yeah, I think that was a nice way to sum up. So, seems like the Yellow Emperor guy, this Huang Di's quite a big deal in all of China still. And yeah, they still obviously have these stories and these traditions that they follow from this bloke that, I don't know if he's depicted as Tentai in the Shenmue series that we might get to at some point, which would be pretty cool. And obviously his half-brother Yan Di is depicted as Niao Sun, potentially. So some interesting stories and stuff there. Obviously a lot of that stuff perhaps isn't going to be in Shenmue. They've just sort of taken inspiration and elements out of some of these stories in Shenmue's narrative. But it's always quite interesting, I think, just to go through some of this stuff and just see where it originated from. So I hope that you found that interesting, guys. We went slightly over, but I'm glad we managed to squeeze that in because we can go on to a brand new topic next week. I thought it was quite interesting learning about Chiyou and some of the things that go around that, potentially for the future of the series. Terry says, personally, I don't think Huang Di is Tentai. What did we make the discovery? Oh, it's because he's supposed to be, I think, because it was saying that he was the fifth emperor, right, out of this group of 5 emperors, and you've got the 4 heavenly beasts. And I don't know if it was in one of the videos, but I did hear someone say in a video when I was doing some research that you've got these 5 beasts, but there's only 4 depicted in a lot of these symbols and stuff like that. And that's because the 5th one is the Yellow Emperor. So I think that's where I was getting that from, that he could potentially be Tentai, because you've got these 4 leaders and then Tentai is above these 4 leaders, as far as I'm aware. So that kind of made sense in my head. But yeah, you're kind of right, Terry. It's not like we've discovered that, learned that. That's kind of just one of my theories. But I do get your point there. He potentially might not be, but plausible, I think. But yeah, thanks, guys. Glad you've enjoyed that. Bit of a cultural sort of explosion. Hopefully we are learning some things, or if we're not, it doesn't particularly matter. It's all good fun. It's all interesting, I think. Thank you. Definitely interesting topics. Even if they don't show themselves again in the future, I just think it's been interesting to sort of see where they've originated from, these concepts and ideas and stuff. Wish. So thanks again, guys, and take care. Speak to you in 2 weeks' time, potentially.